Alrighty, guys, welcome back to the channel. Have a good one coming in hot today. We've got Paven Gill here, who is the mastermind behind a few of your favorite personal brands. Wanted to bring on Paven because I was talking to him about branding stuff. I wanted to get my YouTube on track, looking to get my Instagram on track. And some of the insights he was giving were just so good and actually effective that I thought it would be valuable to basically publicize it and just say, look, let's get this message out there a little bit and let's talk about it on the channel. Because I think if you're running any kind of like high ticket business or where you're generating leads and you want to nurture them, building systems around content is one of the most important things that you can do. So yeah, I think Paven's a great guy to learn from about that. Paven, do you want to introduce yourself a bit about your track record and what you've done and what you're doing now?
Yeah, cool. So as he said, my name is Paven Gill, and I have been running a content agency for like the last like 5-6 years. And we started working with like like in the music industry, working with like a lot of the big artists like ASAP Ferg, 1-4, if you know any of them. But
I do
yeah, yeah. So we worked with them and essentially just like we're really building in the music space because originally my background was a dancer, so kind of was in dance and then went into music and really just increased like my filmmaking like skills through music videos and understanding how to create like proper film, storytelling, color grading, just all the essentials for content creation. And then eventually we moved out of that because I realized like there's not really as much money, especially in Australia, in that kind of field. So we started working with different brands and kind of doing more brand activations. So we worked with people like Nike, JD Sports, like all those kind of like branded activations and content. But then what I realized as I kept moving forward as well is my vision and what I knew I could bring to the table was a lot of like the systems and everything on the back end to scale the content. The way that a lot of these brands were kind of like operating was still kind of like, I guess, backdated. Like they were just like, let's just create one video for this one activation and somehow it's going to magically like do something. And I realized I was like, cool, I have a good capability of creating really good content, but they don't have the mindset of like actually building something up, right? Like they just go one piece of content and yeah, that's kind of what they did. So eventually after that, like working through that, and I was like, okay, like something's missing here. Like the future is not just creating this one event recap and somehow your business is going to grow, right? So eventually moved into more personal brands, and then now, yeah, working with a few creators and just trying to scale up their content and teaching them like the future of like content creation.
Yeah, mate, it's an interesting one because obviously a lot of the guys that you see in the personal branding space, like they either are creators and they're really prolific and it's like their full-time job to just record shit. And that's one side of the coin. And then you have the other side of the coin, which is more people like myself, obviously run an agency, spend most of my time just thinking about paid ads and making paid ads, writing copy, that kind of stuff. And you find that people from a paid ads background, when it comes to organic, like it's almost like they're too autistic, almost like they're too
Yeah.
like, they're a little bit wired differently. So they don't actually
Yeah.
have, like personally, it's almost like you don't have bandwidth to actually think about the systems behind content and think about all these ideas. Um, and it's like people say they don't have time. I think a lot of people feel like they don't have time to make content. Um, I know I've felt like that before, but it's a lot of times just a lack of bandwidth. I think what you do in terms of scaling up, number one, being able to put out volume, but also making sure that volume is high quality volume. So can you speak to that a little bit? Like if you were talking to someone who's like myself, who's like, dude, I run a business all day and I've got to put out a couple of YouTube videos a week, ideally posting daily on like Instagram Reels, and then obviously you have like X and posting on LinkedIn and stuff too. Like, how would you prioritize and how would you make sure that you're hitting all those kind of like input based KPIs, if that makes sense?
Yeah. Okay, so a couple of things the way I would think about it is first, yes, it definitely is challenging, right? Because you're running a business, that's where your attention wants to go, and like that's where the energy is. But if you think about why it's not happening in terms of you putting out content, the number one thing is systems. So like something I've like learned before. I remember there was like a book. I can't remember the exact book, but it's called like systems like thinking. It's around this concept, and I think that's the first thing I would tell everyone to like think about is most people think something is happening and then just like they don't have an understanding of why that problem is, right? Everything has a cause and it has an effect, right? Like for every effect there's a cause. So if we understand that everything is linked together and there's a system that is the way that you're operating, your operating system is not allowing you to create content. That has to be like an understanding within everyone's kind of like paradigm first. So the way I like think about that is, if people are waking up every day and they're like, I'm always tired and stuff, and then they fix it, they fix the system, they fix the symptom with a coffee because they're like, oh, I'm waking up tired every day. They fix it with this thing, and then they just keep going on. But they don't dissect like what is the actual cause of that effect, right? So instead of like being like, oh, let me just fix this symptom on symptom on symptom, and they just keep solving like that, and they don't actually solve the cause. That's going to be the issue. So again, with the sleeping, it's like maybe you're eating too late. Like maybe you're eating at 9 or 10 p.m. and your body can't digest, and that why, when you wake up, your body's like not fully rested. So you need to solve that thing earlier. So the way I would think about that is, in terms of busy business owners, number one, let's just get rid of multiple platforms, because I think that is something that is like it's kind of like trying to bench press like 100 kgs like first time going into like a gym, right? So we're not doing that. But in terms of just posting once per day, that's like extremely easy. It's just understanding what is the bottleneck and what is the thing that's actually hardest about you coming up with content. Is it the ideation? Is it filming? Like even having a filming desk set up where it's like I can instantly turn on the light, put on the camera, and record. Is that the thing that's making it take time? So understanding each area from ideation, filming, scripting, editing, posting, even posting. I say this all the time. I'm like, if you're still like posting like manually, especially if you're trying to scale content, it's like there are definitely apps now where it's like you can schedule it out. It's not affecting it. Again, that's a myth from like ages ago. So I would say the number one thing is identify what is the area that you're lacking first in terms of your system. Like, is it the ideation? Like, what is the thing that's so hard? And then start building a system that's going to efficiently allow you to do that. So, like, even coming up with ideas. If you come up with ideas on the spot as you're doing your business, write it down. How do you write it down? Do you put a voice note in your phone and then store that? Like, how do you do that? So those are the ways that I would start thinking about it. So once you collect that, then you can start building systems for every single area. And yeah, that's the way I would kind of think about that in terms of systems thinking as an overall thing.
Yeah, I think that's so true, because there's always a reason why something's not occurring efficiently. And I believe that the biggest problem for business owners, speaking from experience and from like talking to a lot of them, a lot of the time it's not even conscious what that bottleneck is, because they may have never even taken the action enough times to start doing it. Like I know I focus on paid ads a lot, so a lot of times I just tell a client or something, I'm like, yeah, like you got to start posting Instagram reels, and then 3 weeks later they haven't posted any Instagram reels. I'm like, oh well, like that's kind of weird. Why haven't you done that? It might be because they don't know, they feel like they're not good on camera, or maybe they feel like they need like a really good studio, or they feel like they don't know what to post and stuff like that. But I agree, if you can kind of hone in on, okay, the actual bottleneck is that I feel like I don't have enough ideas for content, then you can attack that. And it's like, oh, well, what I need to do is get ideas listed out for content, or what I need to do is buy a better camera at my desk so I don't necessarily have to do anything that's too
Yeah.
crazy.
Yeah.
And I think what helped me in that case was I just made like a Trello Kanban, and I just had all my ideas in one of the lists. I had stuff that's ready to record. I had stuff that was basically ready to be scripted. And then stuff that had already been recorded, I would just hand that to my editor, and then the editor would basically just put it in one list when it was ready to basically ready to post. And then from there, it was good to go.
I think one thing that like I would even encourage people is to think outside the box. I think a lot of people, like, we think even just then, right, as a business owner, okay, I have to get ideas and then I have to write it down. I have to like script it out. I have to like film. Like, why can't you record your conversations with your clients, and as you're doing business, record your business, and then you can just clip out certain moments, or you can go into ChatGPT and transcribe that and be like, what were the most interesting points that I gave value to my client, and then those are your ideas. So you don't even have to like the ideas that you're speaking about to your clients. Those are the ideas you can pull out. So it's all about like understanding how, like, just thinking outside the box, not like, okay, this person creates content like this, and I think, a lot of it is mindset. Everything is like, I think I should create content like this. I think I need a better camera, but like, why? Why do you need all these things? You need to understand why you're doing that. So I think that's like a very big thing. Is a lot of people that they say they don't have time. It's usually a mindset problem of like, how are you creating content? Why do you even think it takes time? Like, how much time does it take? If I ask that question, okay, it takes too much time. Okay, how much time does it take?
Too much.
Yeah. Yeah. Just like, no.
Yeah, exactly. But okay, then, so let's say you had a business owner, like I literally just got off the phone with a client and he was like, dude, I'm busy. I literally have to wear all the hats in the company right now. I have to record paid ads, get the paid ads edited. I have to record reels. I have to record YouTube videos. I have to fucking run my email list. Like I have to do all this stuff in order to get my funnel to work. So if you were talking to him and it's like, I have to get like a system up from scratch, what would you do?
Okay. A couple of things. I would first say, like, what okay, like I'm assuming it's like genuinely busy because like for me again, I always say like if everyone's busy, it's like sometimes you're busy with like work that like doesn't need to be like done or something. Like you're just spending time and it's like it's not actually like working. So let me assume they're actually genuinely busy and they're actually like 16-hour days type of thing like that in it. I would say first like you need to hire someone on the low leverage task. Like how can you kind of get someone to even just put in 2 hours a day or like an extra hour a day? Because there's something in your business that 100% can. Because if you're just going to say like, no, it's impossible, then I guess it's impossible. But there is definitely yeah. So there's definitely exactly right. So I would say let's be real with ourselves and be like, okay, what's a low leverage task that you can remove an hour out of your day each day, and then we can start finding out what kind of ideas or how can we like what kind of content can we post that is bare minimum that still gets your message across. But obviously there's a lot of strategy in that too. It's like any piece of content we can create is like there's a lot of reason like why we should create like this. Should you do talking? Should you do this? But I think it would be understanding that their business too and being like, how are you operating and how can we extract content from your operations? So if you're like, it could be even while you're doing work. Let's say you Loom record yourself and be like, this is why I'm doing this in my business. That could be a piece of content while you're doing the work. You're just talking it out. So I would say it's like understanding that too. So yeah, low leverage tasks, I would say get rid of that, find space and time, and then try to find the lowest leverage, not the lowest leverage, the piece of content that's lowest hanging fruit. Like how can you create content as easy as possible? And that would be like the best way to start. But I think that's like if you genuinely have no time, most people I would say is like you just haven't carved out time and you don't know how to like it's just the ideas, the scripting, the filming, like they don't know how to do that, and that's what takes the time. If that sort of makes sense. Like if I ask someone to create a video, it's like they're gonna take 2 hours just to create one video, and it's like it's not because it takes time. You need to get better at that skill or hire some people to teach you about that skill.
Yeah, I agree. Like the skill is what unlocks the speed in that case, but you need to be able to learn at the start so you can figure out what the fuck you actually need to do. But I really agree. I think there's a lot of opportunity, particularly with things like Poppy AI is pretty good, but also like you have Read AI that's going to record all your calls, and you also have Loom that's going to give you a transcript of when you record over any SOPs or any team trainings and stuff like that. So I think even stupid stuff like taking a call transcript or taking a Loom transcript and then uploading it into like a Poppy AI, like what is it, like a project where it's coded or you've already pre-instructed it to basically say, hey, this is a call recording with a client. I gave them XYZ pieces of advice. Extract the top 10 valuable insights that might be valuable for a larger audience, and then turn that into an Instagram reel script based on this thing that, based on this framework that Paven gave me or whatever.
100%.
And that would literally be a script done in like, you could probably make an AI agent, but if you had to prompt it yourself, it wouldn't take very long.
That's what I'm saying. I think like to me, it's baffling, especially in today's age of like AI. It's how someone says that they don't have time to create, because it's like it is extremely easy. The fact that you can like live your life and have ideas get like transcribed and like taken from it is the easy part. Whereas in back in the day, it's like you would literally have to be like, okay, I went through that meeting. Like, what idea can I pull out? Like, it would still take so much time. So I think the fact that you can pull ideas from your life, like what you're living and your operations, I think it's actually like 10 times easier nowadays. But I think one thing I can mention there even is like, again, it all just comes down to like everyone's mind. I genuinely think mindset is like the biggest thing for me. I think it's all about reshifting someone's mind, because even in that, right, it's like, let's say you have the transcription of your meetings and stuff. You could literally pull out pretty much what you said, Poppy AI, get the top 10 like tips that you kind of like gave in that, the valuable insights. You can hire a VA to create carousel posts with a black background and just text and just literally those value points. Like, why do you have to be at, like, why does your face have to be there? You know what I mean? Like, that's a piece of content. And then if you know, like, okay, which one of the carousels work, that's when you go script it out and then you go film it, because you're like, this is an idea that's good. So let me now put the energy and time. So it's like there's ways to test ideas. There's ways to like go about things where you don't need your actual your physical time of the owner. But that's like, again, I'm really assuming it's like you genuinely don't have time, but I think everyone does have time.
So it's almost more of a shifting into a mindset of just like, how can I creatively come up with something that's actually going to work, rather than just being hamstrung and kind of just being like, well, I don't have time. Because you kind of have to understand that it's an essential function of the business and be like, all right, given that I absolutely must create content, like what can I do to make that as easy as possible and as frictionless as possible and as little time, consuming as possible?
If I were to ask, because that's 100% correct. If I would ask, 10 years ago, 15 years ago, I don't know if it's 15, 10 years ago maybe, like, would you invest in Bitcoin?
I mean, yeah, no shit.
Okay, that is the mindset you need with your personal brand and your content. It's because people don't believe it's that valuable, but it is. I think that's the thing that everyone needs to understand. Because how can something that like, think about it again, you have like money you put into investments and it grows consistently and you don't have to touch it. That is exactly the same with your content. It doesn't feel like it, but if you build up your like personal brand over years, like your video could be watched in 2 years time, 3 years time, 4 years time. So it's literally going to do the work for you in 2, 3, 4, 5 years time. And it's like you have to take that approach to how valuable building a personal brand is. If you think it's like just this thing where it's like, oh, let me just kind of create some content because like it just does a little bit for my business, like, no, it's going to be absolutely everything. The only way people are trusting anyone online now and buying from any service and even picking you as a service, like a business owner, is because of what I see online. So it's like it is that equivalent of like investing in Bitcoin, aka investing in yourself. Because if you invest in yourself and actually scale it up, like your content, it actually is going to be that worth it. Because like, let me just ask like that question of like, how many people, with even just 10,000 followers, 5,000, 20,000, like whatever it is, a low number, completely out earning people who are business professionals. If they can do that on that level, are you telling me that's not like a Bitcoin sized like asset? Like personally, for me, I think it is. I don't know what your thoughts are. I'd be curious.
I agree. I think the thing is that people don't connect to that as a reality. Like people, like for example, I hear that all the time, and it kind of almost falls on deaf ears because I know all you content motherfuckers just say it as like a marketing angle. You know, it's like, oh well, if you
Yeah.
could invest in Bitcoin, like you would invest in your personal brand. Like I think it's almost the fact that it is taken as a marketing angle is what takes away from like the truth of it. Because I agree. The question I would ask is like, what would it do for your business if you had like 50,000 followers that were targeted? And I think a good example is someone like Max Sturdivant. He was a client a little while ago. He's got like 50,000 followers on Instagram. And he's like built his whole business off the back of it. Like he's never
Yeah.
never spent money on paid ads. He's grown to
Crazy.
like few mil a year at least from I think he when he first became a client, he was at like 30K a month or something. Like he's grown insanely purely from just mastering Instagram. Like he's such a beast at it, it's ridiculous. Um, and I think most of the time when people or when business owners particularly start making content, it's because they are like feel obliged to. It's almost a chore. It's like, oh, someone told me I have to make content, I'm just going to do it. Um, and it's not really focused on the skill acquisition and becoming really good. It's just like I'm going to post my obligatory reel per day, and that consistency is almost what prevents like the actual growth, if that makes sense.
Think about it this way. For me, again, I believe everyone's outcome of life is exactly the choices that they made. Like your life is 100% your decisions. Like all your decisions led you to exactly here. It is completely fair. The universe is coded in a way where it's like it was completely on you to make decisions. The decisions you made ended you ended up here. I think that's the way I look at life. I don't know how you do, but that's the way I think life works. All your decisions lead you to where you are. So if we understand that as a concept, the way that you just said, and I totally agree with you, like a lot of people treat content like, let me just post because everyone else is posting, which I kind of get it. Everyone feels like FOMO and they're like, fuck, if I don't post, like, holy shit, right? But it's like, what kind of relationship would it be if you were in a relationship with a partner and you're like, I guess I just have to do these things. Like, I'll just do these minimal things, like, just to get by. It's like, are you actually going to have a fruitful relationship or you like, you know what I mean? So it's like, if you're taking that approach to your personal brand, of course you're going to get the shitty results. So it's completely always your mind. It's like, if you don't respect the game of trying to like get better and actually have like get better at the skill, then the game is not going to respect you. And I think like that's like the realest way I can kind of say it. And I think I understand from people's like point of view. It's like it takes time. I get all that stuff, but I'm like, again, it's like if there's no other thing that has this outsized return as your personal brand. Pretty much what you said. How can someone work 10 hours on their personal brand every single time and then now they can get a few mil a year? There's no other business person that's just like, let me just work on my business. Like there is obviously like some cases of people working their business and like they still do phenomenally, but like as we keep going like in today's age where online stuff like we need to see you, it's like you spending 10 hours answering emails versus creating content. Get someone to do the emails or like just get someone to do low leverage work so you can work on the highest leverage task, which is creating content. That's just the way I look at it. I think it's you have to respect the game. Like you have to respect your partner if you want to have a fruitful relationship. You have to respect the game if you want to have a big personal brand and a respected personal brand. So that's the way I look at it.
Yeah, right. I mean, that's a good clip over the year for anyone who's just kind of half asking it, which is probably myself as well, even in the form of like, cheaping out on editors or cheaping out on thumbnails and stuff, which I always do, to be fair. Um,
Yeah, we all
yeah,
do.
so I suppose it's a good point. Like you get exactly what you deserve in a lot of ways based on the decisions you make. So that checks out. But
Yeah.
yeah, so what would you say is like the biggest thing that you need to keep in mind then as you're growing? Because like I imagine after getting that clip over the year, a lot of the people listening to this is just gonna be like, all right, fine, like I'll make some content. Like, what do I do now?
Okay. I think there's multiple ways to kind of think about it, but I think the first thing again is like if I'll break down a concept, and I think it's an important thing for people to think about as we move into the future. So, let me kind of break this down. So, back in the day, I don't know kind of like what sort of age, but it's like when we first started creating clothes, right? It's like that was kind of a scarce thing. Like to be able to create like a piece, like a shirt, it's like only a few people could create it. Like they'll get the wool, they'll be like creating it. Everyone else is like, they don't know how, they don't have the tools, they physically couldn't do it. We couldn't mass produce it. So having a t-shirt was like enough. It's like you're valuable in society, right? As we kept going, kept getting like further ahead, it's like, okay, now everyone can produce like these t-shirts. It's like now the t-shirt in itself is not as valuable. It's the fact that everyone can create these colored t-shirts now. There's so many colors and stuff. It really doesn't matter. What we're at in terms of like a, what do you call it, industrial age and like production society, it's like we have the ability to create any piece of clothing now, but the thing that we buy is the thing on the t-shirt or the shirt, like the brand. That is where we're heading in content, because people don't realize that content is only around for 10, 15 years. We're at the stage where people just started creating t-shirts, and now we're just starting to be like, oh, let's create a couple of colors and stuff like that. But like where we're heading is like, what is that t-shirt that I'm going to spend $100 over $10 at Kmart? Like, why would I even do that? Like, it doesn't even make sense, right? But that's where we're heading into, like in the future for personal branding. So I think that's the thing that I want people to like think about when they start thinking of their personal brand. It's like it's not a 3 month game, 6 month game. It's a 1 year, 2 year, 3 year, 4 year game. So I would say like that would be like the number one thing I would get people to think about. And then when you start creating content, just go the same way that you would go at the gym. You would start with a few sets, you'd start like low weights and start building up. So I would say like if you can just focus on one platform, find those different formats that suit you. Like find those model creators that you see like, okay, I think I could create this. You start there, you start creating content like that, and then you slowly start building up. How do you improve each reel? How do is the what is it? The How do I make the lighting better? How do I film this better? Like what is working, what is not? It's just got to be that process. And I think again, if you don't want to be that person, you hire someone. But that is what's going to happen. Like you have to be able to understand that creating content now is not enough. You have to create a brand. And I think that is like the key message I can like I'm just going to keep screaming shouting for like the next like like months and years, because I'm like, I think the people who don't build brand are the ones who are going to like miss out on the biggest opportunity. If everyone's creating content and is looking all the same, why the hell would I go with you? Like, what is it about you? Because everyone can give information now. Like AI can literally give me the information I need for like most things. So why would I pick you? AKA, I can buy a shirt. Why buy $100 shirt? Like why? Like why does anyone even do that? And it's because of brand. So I think that's the thing I'd get people to focus on.
So how do you build a brand then? Because I agreed. Like I think that's almost a trap I fall into as well personally. Is like it's almost like, yeah, just give value, give value, give value, but it's not actually landing. Like it doesn't actually, like there's no motion to it. There's no aura behind
Yeah.
just dishing out like a bunch of textbook advice, which is what I always do, to be fair, because it's easy and it's kind of like that almost half-assedness is just like, oh, well, if I'm giving value, then it's plenty worth it. But how do you delineate between like, yeah, like you're posting content versus making an actual brand and kind of building, and I'm conscious of saying brand. Like, I think a lot of people have an idea of brand as like either an ecom brand or like a personal brand or selling
Yeah.
info or being a guru or whatever.
Mm.
But I think what I believe is like there's just different levels of brand. Like you can have a very small brand that's like a behind the scenes, just really good reputation, and then you amplify
Mm.
that reputation through content.
Mm.
So I think it matters for anything. Like you have a mini brand in an industry, and that matters a ton. So how would you start going about building that and delineating that from content?
Okay. So I think the best way is to like break down the word personal and brand, right? So that's what we're trying to build, personal brands. So the first thing is when we try to break down like what brand, just the word brand, what it actually means. The way I like to explain it, simply just reputation. Okay. So if someone is showing up in your family and they always come late to every dinner, they're going to be branded as the person that's always late, right? It's a thing that you do consistently over time and they associate that with you. That is your brand. So that is one level of the personal brand, which is you're the ads guy. You can, give this value. This is the type of content, like visually and stuff. Like when we see it again and again, we're like, okay, he's the guy with the glasses. He's the guy with the beanie. Like that is your brand because you show up consistently like that. That is the brand side, which is the reputation. The personal side is your your uniqueness. So if he shows up late, does he show up late and then like makes everyone like laugh? Or does he show up late and bring down the mood? That's the personal side. So that's your story. That's who you are. That's like your values, how you go about the world. So these are the two things that you want to mix together, which is your personal, which is your story, your values, these little things about you that make you unique, and then your brand, which is simply what you do for a consistent period of time that gets associated with you. And when we pair these two things together, the thing that we really want to think, because I know brand gets mixed up, right? So I'm going to put these two together, personal brand. The brand that you're building like that, what you want to think about is if someone had to, if your friends had to, you guys were playing a game and you guys were playing Pictionary and they had to write like the thing about you and everyone had to guess, that is your brand. So if they draw this one thing or they write this one thing about you and everyone had to be like, what is this thing? That is your brand. So I think that's what I would get everyone to think about is if people around you had to speak about you, what are they saying? What are the first words that they're coming up with? Or what are they going to write down on that Pictionary like game? And that is how you can understand like that is what I need to get clear. And let me explain this. So I think if what you want people to say about you matches with that, that's how you know you're building a good brand. So I think that's where everyone's always balancing the act because they're like, I want to be like remembered like this, but am I actually being remembered like this? So that's where people get mixed up. But that's the kind of sort of framework. So it's like personal brand, put that together. Your brand is simply what are people going to say about you, the first three words that come to their mind. And that's what you want to be super clear.
Right. Makes sense. Makes sense. So let's say hypothetically you wanted to be known as someone who's really, really good at paid ads and good at making people money. That's one side. So
That's brand.
it's like number one is like knowing the outcome that you want, and then it's like generating that association or generating that kind of that perception in a way, or like creating that image. So what are the things that you would keep in mind once you've determined, okay, I understand that this is the goal of my business brand or personal brand or whatever. What are the things that impact your ability to generate that kind of outcome or that perception?
Okay. Yeah. So, okay, let me break down one thing in there as well. What you said, again, and this is where everyone gets mixed up, or like, it is just the focus is still here. And I think I want to shift it to here. When you said like, you want to be really good at paid ads, you want to be really good at your business. That's your brand. That's one side of it because that's just what you do. But your personal, and this is where everyone needs to get to. Like, what is it about you personally? Because maybe there's 3 other people that are really good at ads, but like, why am I going to pick you? That's where you have to come in. You have to have some sort of edge, and everyone does. You could be like Asian, right? And it's like other Asian people are going to buy from you now. That's your background. That's your story. Like, that's your personal side. Other people might just be like, because you're Asian, I'm going to buy from someone that's Asian. Because you're white, I'm going to buy someone that's white. Like, that could be a part of it. But obviously, you can kind of build up that personal side. So I would say, like, still keep that in mind is like, if you're just building that one side, then it's very easy to do that because that's when you just give value. That's pretty much what you've been saying, right? If I want to be known as someone that's really good at ads, let me just give value and be like, this is how you do ads. This is why it's not working. This is why that's happening. And you can definitely build that. But there's no personal buy-in to it now. Because again, why would I spend $100 on a shirt versus $10 on a shirt? I'll just be like, let me just get whatever ads guy. Like, they're all pretty good anyway. Like, like someone's pretty good. This guy's giving information. This guy's giving information. I'll just buy one of them. But it's like, the one that's like, I'm going to go out of my fucking way to go into the Nike shop and buy the Nike shirt or the Nike shoe. Like, That is what you want to build. So to do that and to get that outcome, to get that people, back to the question is, how do you get that outcome? So for me, the way I look at it is there's 4 pillars. There is who you are, which is like your backstory. There is your vehicle, which is what you do. That's pretty much like the business that you run. How you share, which is your visual tone, your music, even your music choices, just physically like how you're showing up, and then your symbols. Your symbols are simply the things that like completely stand out that like no one else can touch. This is gonna be super meta here, but there's a reason I put this green like circle at the back. There's a reason I'm wearing a beanie, is because I want you to know if someone watches a video and they watches my video on like personal branding and then they go off and they forget, they're gonna be like, it's the guy that had that big green like circle behind him, or it's the guy that always wears the fucking beanie. I want those to be my symbols. The same way that Alex Mosey has the nose strip, that's his symbol. The way that Imam Ghazi is always dressed like a gentleman and he has those glasses, that's his symbols. So you want to mix all 4 of those. So who you are, your vehicle, which is what you do, your how you share, which is your visual style, and then your symbols. Once you understand all of these elements, you want to place all of that into your content every single time. You want to be able to infuse that within your content. And then that way, every single time when you show up, that is going to be the message that's going to get implanted in them. And then over time, they're going to build that connection. That's the way I would kind of go about it. I know it's a lot there.
Yeah, I'm just trying to like break that down and try and make it as practical as possible. So what would you do? Would you just like get a document or something and just be like, all right, these are all the associations I want to make, or this is everything that I want to do, and then basically have a checklist that's like I want to have that in every time? Because what I kind of view this as is just probably the level of commitment that typical business owners have versus like what they can actually achieve. So I'm thinking, I imagine that they can get like an SOP for their own brand in a way, and
Yeah,
they can give that
100%.
to their editors, or they can give that to their video guy or whatever.
Exactly. I think it's so important, one, for the people that you're hiring, your editors and stuff like that, but one also for you. Because if you understand the part of the story that you want to keep sharing, you're going to do that in your content. You'll show up like that. Because if you're not clear on the brand that you're trying to put out, they're not going to get that message, right? So 2 things. One, I have a video that explains these 4 pillars, which I think everyone should watch because it's like the 4 pillars of like really building this like personal brand. We can link this below or something,
Yeah, yeah, send me
if
it.
people want to
I'll
watch that. But in terms of like the practicality, like of answering all these questions. So what you want to do in terms of like the repetition, right, is if you understand and you're clear about who you are, clear about the brand you're trying to build, you're going to show up like that within your content. If you're not clear, that's why it's not happening. It's kind of like someone who they have a lot to say, but every time they enter a room, they just don't really want to talk. They're like, I'm just gonna stay back. I don't really want to say too much. It's like you're branding yourself as the quiet person. So it's like you have to know who you are and how you want to show up, and then be like, okay, if I enter the room, I need to show up like this. And then the more times you do that, the more they're going to associate with you. And I think that's the biggest thing for most business owners. Again, they're just going, I just want to create content, and they're not even thinking about how they want to show up, how they want to impact people, who they want to be, what's the story that they're trying to share. Because if they don't have any sort of strong emotion and energy behind the content, why should I listen? And I think like I get it as a business owner. It's just like, fuck, like there's so much shit I got to think about. I just want to run my business. But my question to you, and it's always going to be this, it's like, can you get someone to do the lower leverage task, and so you can focus on this? Because I genuinely think this is such a high like leverage activity, and if you don't see it that way, then of course you're going to treat it like nothing. I know I keep going back on that, but like I genuinely like it's so like deep. It's like the ship has already sailed. Everyone understands that if you build a big personal brand, your business will do well. You don't even have to be that good. Like, you know what I mean? Like, if, as in at your service, which I don't like condone or respect or anything, like, it's like you should be good at the service that you provide. But someone who is okay at their craft, but knows how to market themselves and knows how to build a personal brand, they're going to out earn you, that's what I'm saying. Like, how is that not the biggest leverage thing? So it's like, as a business owner, you should be like, where should I spend my time that's most leveraged? And that should be the connect for people.
I agree. And
Yeah.
just to drive that home, like I lost a deal to another agency. Um, it was a client that I really wanted because I wanted to break into that niche, and they stayed with their current agency. They do like annual contracts because of budgeting. It's like a bigger company, and I lost the deal because they wanted to stay with their current agency, and they didn't even know what their ROAS was. Like they
Crazy.
didn't actually have any tracking whatsoever. Like they were like, yeah, like I guess we get like a couple of deals a month from ads. And I'm like, oh my God, like I'm gonna absolutely destroy
Yeah.
whatever the hell they're doing right now. But I ended up losing the deal, and I was just like, oh my God, like there's absolute bots out there
Mm,
that just
mm,
that just won a deal over me because I didn't market well enough, I didn't sell them well enough, or whatever. Like it was unclear. And I think there's just such a big frustration for business owners, particularly the ones that are slightly more on the spectrum, or they not like literally, but like in
no,
the
no,
sense
no.
of
Yeah. Yeah,
like
yeah, yeah,
they're
of
just
course.
a little bit more like in their room rats, or they're more
Yeah.
like introverts or whatever.
Yeah.
Um, and they'll see people. This isn't really me. I don't really care because I understand that I'm not showing up properly and I need to like figure it out. But there's people that are like, oh my God, like why can't I build my brand? I post valuable content and it gets no views, and they can't get traction on this like more niche down content. And I think that's probably the opportunity for the content guys, is like being able to take these boring content people, or these boring business owners, and then being able to make that content unique and valuable, and not necessarily viral, but like if you can get 1 to 3,000 views per video consistently on like YouTube or even Instagram, you're crushing. And not only is that the opportunity for someone like you, but that's also the problem, is like being like too boring, and then not having any of this stuff to find, and then not having the personal side, and then kind of getting your knickers in a knot because people that you perceive as not as good at you at your service or whatever, getting all these deals, when in reality, like they just marketed so much better than you.
Yeah. Yeah. No, 100%. Let me like. Yeah, it's just so true. Let me touch on two things there because I think you said a lot of like really good things, and thank you for sharing. Yeah, some people like not losing deals and stuff, like people don't share that, so appreciate that. Because I
It
think it's so
happens. It happens
important.
to everyone.
Yeah, it's like it's
No
important to
one has a
understand
100% close rate. You'd be
exactly.
doing that.
But I think the one thing, like even to touch on that, right, is like what you said. The fact that someone is sticking to that other agency out of like comfort, convenience, whatever it is, it's like it's the same reason we don't go buy another shoe that's not Nike or something. Why do we not test another shoe? Like I've been fascinated with this question. It's like obviously you might not be Nike, you might be Adidas or like whatever it is for you, but like I know for a fact there is a better quality shoe out there. But why the fuck do we just not care? Like why? Like to me, if we understand that, I think that's like the key unlock of like, oh, brand is so fucking important that I would go with a more average thing or whatever's convenient because I have some emotional attachment. Because there is a better shoe. I'm sure of it. Like I could be wrong, but I'm sure of it. Um,
Yeah, I think inertia
you
is a
go.
big thing there. Like inertia of like, yeah, this is comfortable, it's good enough. I do like the brand. I definitely buy stuff just because I like the brand, for sure.
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
I definitely resonate with certain individual more than other ones because of their values or the way they talk, or things of that nature. So I do think that's very true, but I do think inertia is a big part of that as well. And I think the thing is just figuring out how to actually form those associations and like what to actually do. Because that's
yeah,
where that's where I think the content guys and the really business heavy guys struggle to communicate. It's almost like you guys are sales versus marketing. Because a lot of them, like, because I talk to the guys that are like, I don't really want to have a personal brand. I just want to run ads and get deals, but I know that making content will help me. And what they say is like, oh, like, what do I post? Like, this is such a pain in the ass. Like, all this branding stuff is kind of woo woo. How would you convince
yeah,
that person that they need to do all this shit?
yeah. Cool. I was like, yeah, I think a lot of the other stuff it's definitely a bit broad in general, but I think this is like for those business owners right now, like listen, like really listen to this. So number one, I 100% agree. You don't need a lot of views on YouTube, especially like Instagram. Like you want to get a bit of traction because it's like it's so much like people aren't going to buy when they just watch one reel. They're not going to be like, oh, like I'm going to fully trust this person. Whereas with YouTube, if they watch a 30-minute video, they could fully just trust you because they've spent so much time with you already. It's like it's watching 30 reels, which is like that could take a month. So definitely with YouTube, I've worked with people and I know people like less than 2,000 followers, like 2,000 subscribers, making over 100K a month, like easily. So it's like those things are extremely possible. You don't need lots of views. So that's definitely like a real thing nowadays. And the reason why, let me kind of explain that too, is the reason why is the algorithms have completely changed, and we're living in an interest media now, not social media. That's what Gary Vee has said. I'm just going to kind of point back to that, because with interest media now, the algorithm actually feeds directly to what is interesting to people. So that's why it gets fed to what you find interesting. And that's like the beauty of what's happening now, is you could create a piece of content and your very first video could go absolutely viral on YouTube. It doesn't matter about your followers anymore or your subscribers, because every video counts. So I think that's an amazing thing for all business owners to kind of take in as well, because it's like, in a sense, you're not starting from scratch. Like if you create a YouTube channel tomorrow, you're not starting from scratch. You're starting at the exact same level as someone that has 100,000 subscribers, because each video actually matters the same amount now. Obviously, yes, there's like a certain level of like fan base for them, but like it in general technical like reality, it's like it's the same. So I think that's one important step. But in terms of like the value in like for you, something to take away for any business owner is, talking to Leo about this as well, is people always talk about giving value, right? Like the valuable content. And that's what most business owners, small niche business owners, want to be able to give, right? But the one thing that is missing with every single thing, with any sort of valuable content, is you have to change someone's mind. That is the number one like reason of your content anyway. Because if you're just giving value, they can go on Google, they can watch another video. There's no other, like we can get the value, we can get the information to some degree, and we'll keep searching for the information. But the one thing that's going to make someone bond to your brand and who you are is if you change their mind. So what I'd like to tell people to do is, when you create content that's valuable, what most people really mean is you change someone's mind. So the way I usually explain that is, you have a what, how, and why like framework. That's the framework that I use. So whenever you give content, whenever you create content and you're giving a certain level of like value or advice or information, so you always talk about the what. So obviously you're telling them like what to do. So okay, let's say with ads, it's like, this is the way. Not this is the way. You would run ads like this because it gets you that. That's what is happening, right? So if you like, maybe give me an example, and then we can kind of bounce off, because I want to give like an example for the ad stuff. Like what should people do?
People should create a high converting funnel.
Okay. People should create high converting funnel. That is your what. That is what everyone starts the video with. This is what you should do. You start talking about all these kind of areas within that, and then you go into the how. You actually explain to them. I know a lot of people say, don't give your how, don't give like what you should do, but it's like, no, explain your how. You don't have to explain it fully in depth, because like it doesn't really matter, because most people aren't watching a YouTube video and fully just taking notes and like fully like doing the thing. It's just the truth of the matter. It's like most people aren't taking all that information and like fully dissecting it themselves. So some people will take that information and will deal with it. Some people won't. But if you explain the how, now they can start seeing the pathway. Okay, if I do this what, and then I know the how, okay, it's not that hard. It's like actually possible. That is what most people kind of like leave as your video. They teach you the what, they teach you the how. They're like, okay, hopefully now this person's like going to kind of buy from me. But what you haven't done is the why. You have to really dive deep on the why. You have to now reshape their mind, because you might tell them what, build a high converting funnel. You might teach them the how. This is how you do it. You need to do this. You need to get this page. You need to do this, whatever it is. But if you don't tell them the why, and they don't have a strong enough reason why, they're not going to even do it. And they're not going to now attach it to, wow, this guy's so smart. He like fully just changed how I view the world and how I need to approach my business. That's what you need to get to. So you need to explain the why. And the really important aspect is, with each step of your video, you want to keep injecting mini shifting beliefs. So every single time it's like, okay, at the start of the video, you might be like, okay, you might be operating your business like this and you don't even have a, high converting landing page or whatever. It's like, this is why this is why things aren't working this way. You might be experiencing this, and this is why this is happening. And then you move on to the next thing. You explain how to do this, like step one of how to do this, but then you explain the why, and you keep chipping at the why. Every single time you chip at the why, then people start being like, holy shit, like, yeah, I am thinking about this differently. Why am I why didn't I think about this before? And as soon as you start changing someone's why, they're going to be like, holy fuck, this guy's like onto it. Like, that's what people are needing. People need to shift like their mindset, and they'll attach it to you. So like whenever you create valuable content, it's not about what, it's not about how, like they don't really care about any of that. It's about why. If you can change someone's mind, or like why they should be doing something, that's when they're going to be like, wow, this is actually a good piece of content, because what and how is so easy nowadays. We can literally go on ChatGPT and be like, how do I create like a high converting landing font? Like, I mean, like we can ask that and we can get some level of answer, but it's like, there's no attachment there. It's just like, cool, some information, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, like you need to be convinced that you need to change behavior and like deliver an aha moment for it to be
Yeah,
actually, or for it to be an effective piece of content, I suppose.
100%. Because
Yeah,
the thing is, the hardest thing to do, and I'm sure you can agree, is to actually change someone's mind. Like you can't control someone, right? Like the only thing you can do is show some sort of evidence or some sort of like, hey, maybe think about it like this. And if they think about it like that, they're like, holy, if they have that visceral feeling inside of them of like, fuck, this guy like gave me a new way of looking at like life or my business, they're 100% going to be like, holy shit, this guy's onto it. So that is the key of what you want to do within your content. You can tell them the what and the how and like, you know, all this kind of stuff, but you have to be like, you have to touch on the why. You have to tell them like why, like you should look this way instead of that way. And if they understand it, they go, holy fuck, like, yeah, I'm thinking about it all wrong. They're gonna attach like that level of like brand awareness or whatever to you. They're gonna be like, fuck, this guy knows his shit. So I think that's the thing that every small business owner should do, because it's like, again, you don't need a lot of views. You just need to shift a few people's beliefs. And if they're like, fuck, I'm thinking about it wrong, and then you're that guy to like show them the new way, yeah, it's raps. Like that's the way.
I agree, mate. And hopefully you've shifted a few people's beliefs today. I think you've definitely got me with a few things. And we'll obviously chat about a little bit later
Yeah.
about different ways to apply this stuff. And maybe we'll get you back on the channel in a little bit just to kind of pick up where we left off because I do have to go. I've got a bit conscious of time.
No, you could. You
Is
could.
there one final message that you think everyone needs to hear, or you reckon you got it all out?
Yeah. No, I want to double down on it because I just think everyone needs to think about this, but it's brand over content. Stop creating content. Stop thinking about content. Content is like nothing. Content is the easy thing. It's going to be brand because everyone's going to be able to create shirts in today's age, aka create content. Like AI can create content so fucking quickly now. But what you need to create is brand, something that people actually care about. So if you're building a personal brand, stop thinking about content, think about brand.
All right.
Yeah.
Think about content and not brand. That's it.
It's just
Nah,
on content.
So yeah,
Very good.
think about brand over everything. I agree with that, and I'm gonna really like I don't want to say meditate on that, but I'm gonna think about that and just try and digest that and how I can apply that better in my own content because I think if I was to assess my own content, it would be very heavy on just saying stuff and delivering information. And I reckon I can definitely improve on the packaging and how it looks and how it appears and how it's presented as different and really leaning into the edge and stuff. Um, so yeah, I appreciate all the advice and I hope everyone else did as well. It's been a pleasure, mate. Yeah, I'm sure they
Amazing.
can find you in the description and watch that video you mentioned.
Yeah, yeah. Appreciate it, man. Thank you so much, man.
No worries. Ciao.